to yet another episode of TXR, episode number 109, the absolute best place on a Sunday night to relax, pop a cold one, and listen to a dynamic gaming crew. I'm your host, Invader, and I am pumped to get the conversation going. First, though, let me introduce you to the panel. Tim Dog, hey, it's nice to have you back on, man. Did you have fun at the Jets game last weekend?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. It was a tiring drive, but overall it was a good experience. Fun. They won. I'm a Giants fan, but I go with pretty much family. It was fun. Happy to be here. We're going to talk some games. Back to the grind. But yeah, back ready. It was fun, and just a little bit of taking that drive is a lot. A 5-hour drive both ways.
Yeah, because I was about to say, right? Wasn't it in Washington, I think?
Yeah, Washington D.C.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's like Maryland area.
Oh yeah, it would be quite the drive for you. Alrighty, Shock Buddy, how you doing over there? Keeping company with your kitty cat?
Oh yeah, pretty good. Yeah, how was the? Oh yeah, you already said the Jets game. Did they win? I can't remember.
Yeah, they won 35-17. It was pretty much a blowout.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
Yeah, been pretty good.
All right, nice. Here we go. Southbound. Nice to see you popping in there, bud. How you been?
Hello. How's everybody's week going? Or weekend, should I say?
Good that you're here now. It's better now.
Oh, come on, Timmy. You're too nice. Well, at least we got Jeremy here to mess everything up.
I know. He shit his pants. He can't make the show.
Yes, Jeremy's out of commission for the evening, but he'll be back next time around. Centurion Buddy, of course, you're always on the podcast scene. How you been?
Pretty good. Been looking forward to TXR all week long and hanging out with the OGs of podcasting.
Nice.
Oh, geez. Wow. Nice. Thanks.
I like that title. Works for me. All right. Megatron won't be with us this evening. He's busy taking over the world and doing Megatron things. But let's kick this into high gear, guys. And there's lots of news to cover. And the day has finally come, and the Google Stadia has finally been released onto the market. And it's been, well, a bit of a rocky start to things, to say the least. There's been a lot of issues with the streaming servers. Obviously, consumers were promised a smooth experience, but the service isn't achieving that right off the bat. Also, there's been all kinds of promised day one features that are missing at launch, such as 4K streaming, no buddy passes, no achievements, and the list just goes on, all kinds of stability issues and so on and so forth. There's also been reports of Chromecasts already overheating and shutting down games. Not looking good, guys. How are you reacting to this? As the Stadia, it's going to be competing with Xbox's Project X Cloud, and it's just kind of looking rough.
Well, you want to go first? You can go.
I was just going to say, does it even on the level of competing right now? It's lacking the infrastructure. It's lacking features. There's no multiplayer. Oh, my God. Like, I knew Google wanted to be first, but I didn't know that they would, it would be like this just to be first.
Yeah, it's pretty
What
rough.
I want to know is where's the double standard at? Because I know if Xbox made all these promises about all these features and everything else, they'd be getting clobbered right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look at Crackdown 3 when in the wrecking zone didn't work that way. And that was just a feature in a game. Now we're talking about a service.
Yeah, you're talking about a whole, quote unquote, console launch. And, I just don't understand, what's good for the goose is good for the gander,
You know what it is? They are getting beat up in a lot of areas, but I hate to say it. With Microsoft, people actually care. Here, people just who cares? Like they don't, they don't really. It's not this. You're right. There is a double standard, but I do think that there's a segment of people that just don't care, or aren't going to bother, and these outlets know that, and that's why the reception is lukewarm. If they were saying this and there was a debate going on, it'd be a little bit different. But from the start, it's been pretty much
Well,
put down.
I've said it a few times that I think Google's just gonna say, you know what, we tried, we failed, on to the next idea, because they got money to throw away.
Yeah. And to me, like to me on the launch, I'll just go into my take on it. The launch was a disaster. It's a beta. They should have had a beta. They promised so much in March, and they didn't deliver pretty much a single thing from 4K 60 that they keep spouting. Red Dead Redemption 2 is 4K. It's 1440p, 30 frames per second. They touted all this stuff and they didn't deliver on anything. Basically, it sounds like a big beta to me. And like you said, South, I kind of get the same feeling. I think that if this doesn't go well or it doesn't, hit off like they think that it might, or that, they give it a little time and it still doesn't hit off, I think Google, will just say, we tried, or they'll make it into a little sub-service. Nothing.
Well, no, the reason why I say that is because look at Google's history. They're notorious for giving up on programs.
Yeah, so that is a valid. I brought that up, and people are like, no, they're going to stay with it. They got a ton of money. They do have a ton of money behind it, but let's be honest. If things don't improve. And, there are some good things about Stadia. I'm not going to say it's a horrible product. I just think it's way too early. They launched it way too early. They launched it in a beta phase. And, they were just expecting people to just say, okay, and deal with this stuff. This is a gaming crowd. We are like the most critical consumers going. And you're just, they're just putting the feet to the fire, as they say, for Google. They're just putting it in a really bad position. And to me, that means that they don't really care about the product that much. I mean, if you cared about the product, you'd say maybe 2 months ago, okay, let's bite the bullet, and let's move forward and let's go on and take our time and get some of the stuff that we promised. We're going to talk about other things later in the show, but and I'm going to point to that, because I think other game companies are taking the right idea, and I just feel that the way Google's went about this, Phil Harrison and everything and company, they're going about it the wrong way, and it's gonna hurt them bad.
He stood up on that stage all loud and proud. Oh, we're gonna have 10 teraflops this, and we're gonna be the strongest thing out there than any home console, and all this other stuff. And it's just like when you're going to go head to head with Sony and Microsoft and
Nintendo.
Nintendo even. Yeah, but we're talking consoles that have power and everything else. I throw Nintendo in there. Why not? But it just comes down to, now they look like a bunch of, excuse the expression, they look like a bunch of dumbasses. Yeah. You're like, when you're trying to compete in that market and to release in that state, that's a joke. As Phil Spencer said about xCloud in that interview, would you release it like that? Even Phil Spencer knew that xCloud was nowhere near what it needed to be a full viable consumer product. But apparently Google was not paying attention and also didn't take it seriously.
Yeah.
And you can tell the hardware is underdeveloped too. It feels like they just took, we have these Ultra Chromecasts. Oh, well, let's not develop a new thing. Let's just take those that are already notorious for overheating streaming 4K video,
right? And
we're going to put them on gaming, and now they're overheating. You had SpawnWave put like heat sinks on it, and that like did wonders. Like, what, they didn't think to make it maybe a little bit bigger, put some heat sinks in there.
Yeah, one of their
shutting down too.
worst pickups was probably Phil Harrison, of all people, to be head of Stadia. Of all the people, that guy has such a terrible track record. Remember his time at Xbox?
Horrible.
Oh, that was rough.
And his time with PlayStation.
Yeah,
you gotta remember, he is honestly, I think he's worse than Matrick, because at least Matrick had some success. This guy's a walking, talking disaster. Everything he touches seems to go to shit. He
Although I
was
had fun with J-Dub on that because it was like, wait, you want Phil Spencer gone, but you're backing Phil Harrison.
yeah,
I'm like, okay.
yeah, no, he's really listen, I wouldn't be so negative towards him, but he was a little bit arrogant on the stage. And listen, in March when I watched that show, I told everyone, I said, dude, they're very impressive. And and they were like, okay, that's cool, and the bottom line is at that point I was lied to, because look what they came out, and look what it is now. And
they overpromised and underdelivered at the end of the day.
And like somebody said, they don't seem like they care. Like, why would you throw something out like that if you really cared about a product and you really wanted to go right? The writing was on the wall.
Doesn't have any of half the features they promised.
You can't use a wireless controller if you don't have the Founders Edition Chromecast.
You can't do 4K right now, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't do it. That's the problem.
It's like 1080p upscaled to 4K.
No LTE coverage. It's like somebody said to me. They said their play was to get in the living rooms, whereas Microsoft's play is to just extend the way you play your games. And I think that really kind of
that's very well said.
Yeah, it kind of sums up the way this is all going. And let's look at it. Xbox, the way they're doing it, kind of is an easier way, more acceptable way. They're going about it with very little fanfare. They're staying quiet. They're just here and there. They just staying quiet, but then they're saying, "Hey, 50 games to play."
Free beta. They don't charge you for the beta.
Yeah, no beta, and they're also going to put this in Game Pass too. They're going to tie it to Game Pass, so when this does release, anything that you play on freaking Game Pass, you can play on your freaking phone. I'll go into my playing on XCloud, but I've been extensively testing it out, and a lot to say there.
Yeah. Now it's interesting too, because obviously the XO event in London happened a couple of weeks ago, and Xbox had announced for Project xCloud over 50 games, a ton of games, and
available right now.
Yeah, they're available right now, and like you guys said, it's in a testing phase, and they basically embarrassed the Google Stadia. The launch was coming up. They only had about 11, 12 games, and they had to increase it. They had to increase it to, I believe, 22 launch games, and they only have one exclusive title. It's a little indie game called Guilt. I mean, it looks kind of cool, I'll admit, but nothing that really drives you to want to grab a console for. If I'm paying for a supposed 4K streaming console, it's supposed to do this and that, the ease of access, I need some other stuff to promote it. And I just feel like they went around things the wrong way. They're just starting to build up their internal studios right now. They don't really have any exclusive content there.
Well, I think Xbox just took the wind out of their sails, after they, their little show in March and how they were, talking all this, and Xbox didn't even have to say nothing. They just came out and, showing xCloud, and it's showing it's a better service, period.
Right. Well, and that they care about it too. Like, they've every step of the way they've been strategic with this, and it's like I heard some people were like, well, Phil should go after them and deliver a death blow, and really
that's not his style. That
it's not his style, and you know what? He doesn't have to do that. He doesn't need to. He let the actions speak louder than words. I mean, at this point, Stadia is doing a lot of harm. I mean, I just put up a commercial that they just put out, and even the marketing is off. It just doesn't seem like gamers really evolve this. It just seems like people with big egos who, thought just they could ride along with the game, an idea, and, everything else would fall in place. They're in for a rude disaster. A rude awakening, because look at what's going on now. I mean, you see people taking shots at them all the time, and like I mean, I get. Mooch said to me, he's like, you have to let tech like this, you kind of give it a, you gotta give it a little breathing room, and he's right. But that's just not the way people. That's not the way gamers are. We're very, you know how we are. Look.
Well, and they pissed off their hardcore, the people that pre-ordered it the second they went up. Some of those people didn't get their codes until after people that had just done it 2 days before.
Yeah,
so they didn't even get to pick their name and get it secure.
Oh yeah,
they're the hardcore.
They had a bunch of technical issues with that. A lot of people had bought it, like you said, and then they got that they didn't buy it, and they had to rebuy it, and all types of launch, difficulties and this and that.
Who's eating chips right now?
Not me. Yeah, hear it though. Is that Megatron?
That was my bad.
Someone got a hand in the cookie jar.
But I mean, as we're explaining and going through it, you got to be if you're going to come into this game, you got to know what's going on. You got to have people that know what's going on, and you can't go about it half-assed. And right now, this is a half-assed launch. It's a half-assed commitment. It seems like this is just something that I hate to say it might go away. For them at least, but if they want to stick with it and be serious, they got to really, fix a lot of problems and start getting them.
Well, I think to a certain extent too, they just assumed that like the Candy Crushes and all that would transfer to your TV and people would follow that. And I mean, bottom line is they don't have the track record or the infrastructure to allow that to happen.
Right. And if you're going to promise something, especially with gamers, you better deliver it. It's not going to be some half-assed checkerboarding gets destroyed. Anything that's not true to what you say specifically is going to be picked apart, and everything's going to be known. And already we have Digital Foundry's analysis that said the service has a lot of potential. But when they really tested it and they showed the games, you're still better off playing on an Xbox One X, and that isn't even a new console that's coming out next year. Than you are playing, the Stadia, and that's a local playing the game right there.
I love when you say Stadia.
I don't think is going to get killed by Amazon. Amazon has already the loyalty and the commitment because they already have you on Amazon Prime. So if anything, they probably just put the games in there and say, "Hey, you're already a subscriber, so you're already." And they have that commitment. They can get their product, any product they need to get out to people. They don't have shipping issues like Google.
Now,
and they have probably the top cloud infrastructure out there. So.
I think that you make a point because I think that's the biggest worry for Sony and Microsoft is that Amazon gets in the space and because of their cloud service.
Yep, and they're being quiet, and it's coming. Listen, you don't hire a guy like Albert Pinello to do something other than gaming. He's been in the industry. He helped develop Xbox One. He helped. He basically
from the beginning, Xbox.
Yeah, he's been there. Xbox One X. So he's there, and listen, and that was what I was going to refer to because it's going to be one of the topics that we go into. Amazon is the real deal, I think, and I think that they're going about this the right way. They're not having a big press conference, and they're just laying in the weeds, and they're watching everyone, and they're saying, "Look what they're doing! Look what they're doing!" And like Shock says, they just might come out and say, "Hey, you're a Prime member. Guess what? Here's your service of games, and here's this."
Yeah.
And it's all in addition to Amazon Prime because that's what they want. They want people on Amazon Prime, and they have that as their something to push. If they can get gaming to that, guess what? You might get a guy like me, and you might get a guy like South. You might get this whole panel. With everything else Amazon Prime offers, why not get free games with it?
Absolutely.
I'm kind of. I don't know how to feel about the whole Amazon and Google thing purely because let's look at it this way. If Google right now was working perfectly and working the way it was supposed to, it still has nothing to make you want to hop on that train because they don't have anything exclusive. Now, like, I hate using the word exclusive because Microsoft has been the victim of people claiming they don't have exclusive titles. I'm perfectly fine with Microsoft's exclusive offerings. Yes, they can do a better job, but they do have them. That's something that you definitely need, because if you just launch a product, you're not Kevin Costner. If you build it, they're not, just because you build it doesn't mean they're going to come. You have to have something to make people want to be part of that infrastructure. And one thing I've noticed, at least about this generation, is there is a lot of plastic box worship, and you're going to have a hard time getting a lot of the actual hardcore, diehard gamers to relinquish whatever brand they've chosen to switch over to another brand, especially with all these brands, especially Microsoft starting to create what's known as legacy content, where you have multiple generations of gaming available on that ecosystem. And it's going to be really hard to make somebody want to make that switch, because it's a digital ecosystem.
You got to make yourself stand out. Bottom line.
It's like moving into a new house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like moving into a new house. You ain't gonna move into a house that has the same features as the house you already got. You gotta, definitely, if you don't have a swimming pool and the new house has a swimming pool, all of a sudden there's a selling point.
Absolutely. Now, before we move on, to Amazon streaming and the rumors there, with the Stadia, there was a question in the chat by Peter Sark here. Does anyone in here, has anyone tried out the Google Stadia or been able to demo it at all, or have any interest in picking it up?
I had tried it when they first had it, when they had the test, way back when, but I haven't played any of the newer stuff. So, but from what I've seen, as with all streaming, you're gonna have your ups and downs. You're gonna have your peaks and valleys. It's not gonna be as good as a local experience. And as I could say myself, I'll go into it later too, with xCloud. It's a different experience when you play, at least for me, when you're playing streaming. You kind of realize that you're streaming, and you give it a little latitude there, or you give a little bit of you realize you're never going to get that precision that you're going to get from a local playing console. So with that said, I think that Stadia, however the hell you say it, is going to be fine. I just think some of the things that they've been saying and all that stuff is going to hurt them. But the service itself, from what I've read too, has been pretty good.
Now, they've been pimping out, there's been some articles over the past week about their controller, because Phil Harrison there did a few interviews talking about their gender-neutral controller, and they're talking about the advantages here, and that it has an advantage over Xbox and PlayStation, that it doesn't have any pre-existing gamer culture to appease. I thought it was interesting language that he was using, but I mean, he should really be trying to promote the games and the attractiveness of this. The gamers are going to come regardless. I think, just put out compelling software.
Yeah, and why are you trying to put gamers in different categories? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we've come too far these days to sit there and say, oh, well, gender neutral or male, female. You know what I mean? I don't see that there's a class system as gamers.
Yeah, who the fuck thinks about a gender? Who the hell says gender? What the hell is that? Who the fuck? I never thought about a controller like that in my life.
Yeah. Hey, Megatron, welcome to the party.
I'm sorry. What's up, everyone? A gender-neutral controller. You know what? That says it all, bro.
Come on.
Trash. I mean, back to Peter. Peter said it. Anybody? I haven't tried it, the Stadia, but it doesn't sound appealing at all. If I'm a regular consumer and I'm looking to, look into this thing and doing my research and looking at all the feedback, it doesn't look like it's put its best foot forward. It looks like it's just disappointing. I mean, remember how attractive it looked in the beginning when it came out right before E3. I thought they were going to actually do a show at E3, but they did theirs like a week or so prior to, and they shot their shot and it looked attractive. And I'm like, we were singing Stadia, this and that, and look where we are today. It doesn't look like it's worth it. It's nothing that they showed me what I've seen or heard, I am going by word of mouth. I haven't tried it yet, so but nothing's going to pull me away from what I already have and the potential of what xCloud is and my Game Pass and all that stuff all rolled into one.
And it seems right now it's a waste of money. Maybe in the future,
Yeah.
if, like I said, unless they, I honestly wholeheartedly believe they're gonna give up on the whole Stadia thing. But hey, I could be wrong and I could be proven wrong, which I hope I am. So hopefully in the future, they get their shit together and they do have a product that's worth me going out and purchasing it.
I think that's a concern for a lot of gamers. Like I was kind of excited about it when they first announced it and unveiled it. But now you just look at it like, oh, there's just a lack of commitment there. So maybe the games I buy with them will just go away if they just shut it down like they did. Google Hangouts, why'd they have to shut it down? So they can't commit to that Skype service.
And that was great. And they took that down. Yeah, I'm
Amazon,
down.
I know they're not going to just drop it.
Yeah,
there's some commitment there because if it's in Amazon Prime, guess what? I know Amazon Prime is not going anywhere.
Absolutely. Well, again, I'm hopeful that Google will pull it out. I hope they stick with it. Obviously, they are developing game studios right now. I hope they're committed to it for the long term, and we'll just have to wait this out. And hopefully, they work out the kinks to this because competition's a good thing, but right now it's a little rough to say the least. But guys,
it doesn't pose any competition.
Definitely unimpressive. Like, it's just.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, especially with xCloud in the lineup, in the thick of things. But we're gonna move on. We've been talking about it a little bit, and yeah, it looks like the Stadia wants to be the only gaming stream service competitor. However, there's rumors of Amazon entering the game streaming market, and it's been hinted at for a while. And now analysts are suggesting that Amazon will launch its own service in time to compete with Project Scarlet and the PlayStation 5. Everyone's favorite games analyst, Michael Patcher, predicts the PS5 launch and the Scarlet, there will be Amazon there. And so it's interesting that, Amazon would be at the thick of things when the new consoles launch. Guys, do you think that we'll see Amazon enter game streaming from the sounds of things? Because, hey, Amazon, they certainly have the abilities to do this. They have the money. They're a big, big powerhouse right now. What do you guys think?
You know what? I'm just gonna go in real quick. Michael Packner, he swings and misses more than times than he hits. So you know what I mean. Like, he's a nice guy and he's well liked in the industry, but he's not very spot on with his record. But then it wasn't a very good or a hard leap to guess that Amazon's gonna join in because I think that they got the money to do it, and they like everyone's already saying. They got their Prime. Why not? When you got Disney Plus, you got Game Pass, you got these subscription services that they see the they see the potential in it, and to add more value to it, why not?
Yeah, I've heard they're definitely in on a console on streaming. You look at their hires, Pinello. I just think that they're going to go about it the right way. It might not be as big as they're saying with the way Google's talking about it. It might be something that you could add into Xbox Prime, smaller games, or a way to access your library. But I'm definitely interested to see what they're doing, and I don't think that they're going to be. If they do dedicate themselves and they do show that they're a player, they're going to be something where they're going to take it serious. It's not going to be half-assed or just another project. It's going to be something where they take it serious. They're gonna go about it the right way. I think that they could be good enough to stick around.
You made a good point, Timmy. They are just sitting back and watching and laying in the weeds, to see what not to do.
Right, exactly. I mean, and Google is out here making all claims. They have Iron Galaxy, right?
They're the ones that revitalized. Killer Instinct.
No,
so.
that's Double Helix.
No, the Double Helix.
Are you
That's
sure?
who they purchased Double Helix. Yes.
Yeah, that's what it
Iron
was.
Galaxy
Oh, Double
took
Helix.
over.
I got them confused. They have
Yeah,
Double
me too.
Helix. They're
Oh,
the
it's
ones
very
that
easy.
revitalized them.
Yeah, Iron
Well, they
Galaxy
both worked
took
on
over.
Killer Instinct, though.
Yes.
Yeah, Iron
Yeah,
Galaxy
but
took
Double
over
Helix
after
was
the
the
fact.
one that first did it.
Right. They were purchased. Going to be interesting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Amazon have all kinds of things at their disposal. Like everyone was saying, they have Amazon Prime already, the video streaming service. They have Twitch. Twitch is, the game streaming. Everybody knows Twitch, a favorite platform for many creators, although a bunch of them are moving over to Mixer. But yeah, and a lot of people forget. I mean, they do have a bunch of internal studios. Obviously, we talked about them acquiring Double Helix, which they turned into, I think, Amazon Orange County or something. But they have other studios too. They have a couple of other internally made studios. So they've been making some games, but I know that some of them have been canceled. There's been some retoolings, and they also have an ambitious, I believe, game engine called the Lumberyard, if I'm not mistaken. So they've been doing some things behind the scenes for a while now. Right. So I guess everyone's just been kind of wondering, when are they going to announce something, right? And a game streaming service just seems like a pretty good assumption at this point. And obviously, if people are hearing about this, then there must be, where there's smoke, there's fire. And hey, you know what? Amazon getting into the thick of things, I would welcome that. I just hope that, they'll be able to do things a lot better than what Google has right now. Because as we're just talking about, Google's kind of a hot mess with the Stadia.
Do you think Walmart's actually going to bring one out?
Well, they're actually a rumor too. But what you brought up, Invader, was very interesting. You talked about Lumberyard. Yeah, they also had, I think that's tied into the deal that they had for the game engine for Cryotech that they use. So wouldn't it be funny if they made a console? Imagine that, like a console to compete with the other two. That'd be pretty cool. But what it is, I do think it's going to be different than what others are doing, and I think it's going to come with a lot of thought and preparation behind it. It's not something that they're just going to throw out there. Walmart, as Shaq talked about, they said that they're interested in some type of service too. Listen, they probably
Walmart's always trying to diversify their businesses, So, but I honestly don't see them getting into the console or even streaming space.
Wrap the thought of my head, just in my head, just like Walmart being a
crazy
competition with gaming, like Walmart game console. Just to me, doesn't
it screams, hillbilly.
Rollback prices.
Yeah, rollback prices. Yeah, just like and get a free count whenever you purchase whatever game. It's just like it doesn't.
Walmart is one of the biggest game sellers, right? I mean, aside from Amazon and like Best Buy, they're the top three at least.
Yeah, well, who knows what they would do, but they have been also linked to this too. So
everybody wants to get in. To me, show and prove.
Exactly.
You're gonna do it. See, I mean, if you want to be appealing. Look what we got with Google Stadia, and I thought that was going to be something big, and right now, it doesn't look like it's going to be anything. I mean, it has a lot of potential. Amazon wants to come out with something. Kmart's coming out with something. Caldor, Home Depot, everyone's got a console coming out.
IKEA might be coming out.
Sears, Roebuck.
Roy Rogers might be actually getting involved. No,
the market might get too saturated for all this.
Yeah, that might push people off. But it's funny. People were saying, "Well, Sony is not doing any of this," and for a while they weren't.
Sony
but I think,
started it.
yeah. Sony started it, and now I do think that with Ryan in charge. that they're going to be pushing a lot of the streaming and similar stuff to what Xbox is doing. And honestly, I think that the people with the real chance to succeed here is Sony and Microsoft, just because they have the library, they have the lineage, and it's all there for the taking. You know, I think that people see, or these companies see, the potential, but it's easier said than done. And with Sony and Microsoft, I do think that Sony might be a little bit behind, but obviously I think that they're following.
And let's not forget, these companies had to take their lumps to get to where they're at right now. Microsoft and Sony, you know, they both had problems with their consoles in their past. So, you know, you got to stumble before you got to crawl before you walk.
We're saying you know, Sony and Microsoft, but Nintendo's still a factor. And you got to find your way in that space. You know, I mean, where are you going to fit in at? I don't know. I think it's going to be tough. So with all these different,
well, listen, with that gender neutral controller, I don't think people can pass it up, man.
But I can appreciate what both Sony and Microsoft have been doing this gen with just, you know, small incremental updates, and you know, they've been sort of like, you know, slowly but surely introducing these ideas, and with the streaming and whatnot. Google with the Stadia, they've just been, you know, right off the bat trying to introduce it, and damn, like they've just been failing so hard right now. Again, I want them to succeed. I want competitors, you know, to help drive the competition, but not exactly a good way to showcase first. I'm hoping that Amazon's just sitting back learning from this, and you know, actually it'd be nice if they had like just a dedicated console to go along with the streaming service. But
can I add something on to all this? Seeing Downer's not here, I want to definitely throw a wrench in this whole thing. All these streaming services, service. What about ISP providers creating data caps? No matter what, streaming services at the end of the day are held ransom by the actual utility that they need to function, and that's the internet. And a lot of these ISP providers are failing cable companies that are trying to keep their doors open, and they're creating things like data caps and internet slow lanes and all sorts of stuff that are going to hinder what they're trying to create.
That is, yeah. If that happens, that they're destitute and they push that, that'd be real shitty. But part of this, as you alluded to, is the ability for countries and all these ISPs and everyone to offer, unlimited service, or I mean, if you have a cap, I hate to say it, you might as well not even bother with streaming, because it's that bad, it's that extensive. You're talking about 3 gigabits a night if you play two games or 3 games of Madden. Believe me, I've tested it. I've seen it.
I've popped my data cap here just downloading games.
Yeah, and to be honest, in today's day and age, I honestly think that if one of these companies is putting data caps, that they should be freaking either looked at or whatever.
Yeah, it's 2019. What the hell? They have data caps now. What I mean, well, come on, they're holding the consumer hostage.
Here in Arizona, me and Saltiest Gamer live here in Arizona. I live in Phoenix. He lives in Mesa. We're about 45 minutes away from each other, and we both use the same internet provider, Cox, out here.
Oh yeah, Cox has a cap. Yeah, here in LA as well.
Yeah, and so therefore it exists. It starts off at 1 terabyte. I increased mine to 1.5 terabytes for $25 extra a month. If you want unlimited capabilities, it's $150.
It's like $150,
it's
right?
$150 a month for unlimited. And get this, they have also installed what is like an internet fast lane. That's why people believe that there's going to be slow lanes as well. They told me for $15 extra a month, I could get priority to gaming servers. I haven't participated in that. That's where I drew the line. I was just like, I'll deal with whatever happens because you're not getting an extra dime out of me.
Yeah,
but
that's really shitty. That's, to be honest, that's shitty.
And the problem is they got you over a barrel because a lot of these cable companies, they're the only game in town.
Yeah,
You can't just
what
say,
if-
oh, you know what, I'm gonna switch because I don't,
Yeah.
I don't want to dedicate.
and
cap,
what it
you know?
is they're failing cable companies. We all know cable's falling on its face because of streaming services. So therefore, they're wanting to basically take a cut of the streaming services
They're
money
price
by
gouging.
charging. Yeah, they're price gouging.
They're price gouging.
And they're also creating other stuff that's going to hinder streaming because they're like, well, why stream your entertainment when you can go through us and have a DVR and you won't have that problem.
Right.
So that's what I mean. All these companies that are wanting right now, if you want me to be truthful, I wouldn't, if I was a billionaire, I wouldn't want to create a gaming company right now. I would want to create an ISP provider, something that would completely create more competition than the ISP providers right now have, and it would make them have to rethink things. I would want to be the Microsoft of internet delivery, making the competition have to change their ways because I'm doing it better.
Well, I have something that might be good for you. I don't know if it's coming. It's definitely coming in the next 2 years, but keep your eye out on 5G solutions. They'll be coming, and certain things like that could help.
5G is going to create so much competition. I'm excited that these cable companies and other guys that are going to lose their asses off as soon as 5G is implemented are now out here trying to create this myth and rumor that 5G interferes with Doppler radar and everything else that meteorologists use to predict the weather. And I had to chuckle. I was like, since when were you guys any good at predicting the weather to begin with? And now this is just the most asinine freaking excuse I've ever heard. Don't put up 5G because it interferes with weather radar.
Yeah, and to think we are so antiquated in the States. We are way behind when they're talking about like this stuff. It's sad. To be honest, Centaurian, like I feel bad what you're telling me how you have to pay. That's to me that's price gouging. That's wrong.
Oh yeah, I'm paying $118 a month for my internet.
That's it's just and here you can get internet for $50 at 300 over 300. You know what I mean?
I get 150.
So it's wrong, the type of things that go on like that, and those two things will definitely come to an end, especially as the technology ratchets up. But in the United States, we're way behind. Even 5G, we're way behind. In Japan, they're much ahead of us, and I think it's time for this. Just to speak just locally for this country, things have to get better, because if they don't get better and we're going backwards, the whole world's
this is where the downer will come in and all the politics that he likes to
net neutrality is part of it, but we're not going to go into that. But that could also be another thing that really becomes a problem. We talk about fast lanes. Well, the thing is that those things sound cool, but like Centurion said, what about the slow lanes? Like, if they're going to do that, then sure, then it's going to come to a point where people are on slow lanes and they don't even know, and you have to pay $20 just to basically get your internet that you were always getting.
Now, also, if I'm right, doesn't Disney own a provider for internet and cable? If I remember, my stuff right, I believe the company that Disney is Disney. They're a giant conglomerate, and if I'm right, somewhere along the lines, they own an actual cable company that provides internet. Now, look at it from this perspective: because of net neutrality not existing now, Disney can make it to where their internet functions perfectly on their Disney Plus. But if you try to use Netflix or another competing service, you might have some slowing issues because of the idea of an internet slow lane. And there's nothing to prohibit that because net neutrality was abolished.
Right.
Wow. Well, if Downer was here, he'd be talking about politics, and he'd be talking about Sea of Thieves.
And he's talking about
Dude, he harps on Sea of Thieves a lot. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, the reason why because he said it was going to be a disaster. He still doesn't want to come to the obvious truth that it's a success. You can paint it whatever way. You could say that it didn't do good on this, or it didn't do on good Metacritic, or it didn't win any awards or it was barren in the beginning. Listen, the bottom line is the game's a huge success. They have content that they're going not only this year, next year to 2020. They still have a developmental
Why?
working on.
Why would they continue to update it and throw money at it if it was a failure?
Exactly.
Mhm.
A lot of people play the game. Anytime these updates come up, viewership spikes, goes up. And listen, the game itself might not be for everyone, but it's a game that a lot of people like. A lot of kids like it. A lot of people like it. It appeals to a lot of people, and
I love
it's a
But
success.
downers to Lucho.
Yeah.
Well,
He's salty because he said it wouldn't be. He said it was the ultimate failure, and here
Oh, my God.
we're almost at 10 million players.
well,
Say
I'm
it's more
actually pretty
successful than
happy
Stadia.
that they've supported that game for as long as they have, and other games too, like Stadia Gate 2. Like they could have gave up on a lot of these games, but they didn't. They kept with them, and yeah, I'm surprised that they're still spewing out content for Sea of Thieves. That's fantastic. But you know what, fellas, we're gonna move on, and hey, you know what? It is late November. And that means that the Game Awards is almost upon us.
Oh God,
Oh,
here we
great.
go.
Yeah, here we go. And we
Moan and
recently
groan.
got the nominees for all the categories, and a lot of people are finding that the games selected are a bit lopsided, I guess you would call it. Games such as Death Stranding and Control are leading the way with multiple category nominations. Games that have seen, well, some polarizing comments and reviews, to say the least. Death Stranding has 9 nominations, and close behind is Control with 8 nominations. Both are nominated for Game of the Year, along with games such as Resident Evil 2, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and The Outer Worlds. And show host and organizer Jeff Keely is a close friend of Death Stranding creator Hideo Kojima, and actually appears in a small role in Death Stranding. So, guys, obviously, there's a lot of talk about the Game Awards this year. Do you guys think it's just a coincidence that Death Stranding has so many awards, or do you think that there's some bias at play here?
There's always bias when it comes to Kojima, you know what I mean? So, but I don't know. You hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, there needs to be some kind of separation between church and state," and just because he's in the game, that he shouldn't be able to have that nominated for Game of the Year or any of the awards. I mean, yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that, but I don't know. It's just weird because I haven't played the game, so I can only go off of what everybody else has said about it. I just don't. My whole thing is the timing of it. Why wasn't Jedi Fallen Order have any kind of nominations? And it came out the same time frame.
Right.
It came out on the last day of the allotted time that they're allowed to put a game in there, and for some reason they chose to ignore it.
Yeah, but a lot of these
Yeah.
people are people in the industry that surely had access to the game. Listen, I know that Megatron. I talked to Megatron about it. He's like, who actually is the people who do this? Does it look a little fishy? I'm going to be honest. Yeah, it does. You have a game that was supposed to be 96 Metacritic, and it's getting 3s and 4s, and it's not doing it definitely. If you told people that it would get an 83 Metacritic, they would laugh you off. I mean, I was one of the few people, from what I saw, I said, this game is not going to do as good as people were saying. Everyone said it was going to do this and that. Listen, when you have people going in the game that you're hosting, you're always going to get that type of stuff. You're always going to say it's a conflict of interest. To me, this stuff doesn't bother me. It didn't bother me. Do I think that there's a little gamesmanship or whatever you want to say behind the scenes? There might be a little, but at the end of the day, Kojima is just, he's revered by reviewers, and it obviously showed on some of the reviews. Saw some of the reviews said the game wasn't fun, but it's a masterpiece. I mean, things that were like really, made you scratch your head. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I don't think it's that big of a deal. Personally, it doesn't offend me. I don't think it should be investigated. But I do see what people are saying.
How could it be investigated when Jeff Keely is the boss of the show? I mean, what's he going to do?
He's the judge.
Investigate himself?
Exactly. It is what it is. It is what it is. But if you're upset about
does any of you have any doubt that Death Stranding is not going to win a Game of the Year? I mean, come on, let's be honest.
I think
really
Outer
hope it
Worlds going to win. I think Outer Worlds going to win, or
Hard to say.
Sekiro. But my point is.
Did you say Shakira?
Yeah. My point.
Shakira is going to be there.
I don't think that it's that big of a deal, but I can understand where people are coming from. And listen, Gears 5 was great. And I think that, part of it is that, Xbox hasn't had any kind of representation all for the whole entire Game Awards. And that game to me really, should have been possibly up there, especially over Control.
What? No, especially for multiplayer game. I mean, come on. Gears multiplayer is one of the greatest, titles of all time.
It just makes you think the committee that they formed, right? Is anybody kind of questioning this too? You see people it makes you wonder, no one's raising their hand, kind of, sort of hello,
so
are you these nominees or?
Not to be the guy that tries to act like he knows it all, but I'm very intrigued by this whole situation. So, for starters, the actual voting is done by 80 individual media representatives for 80 different gaming media sites. And now the interesting part is Kotaku actually reached out to Jeff Keely about the situation. And the article reads, Death Stranding's nominations at the Game Awards can't help but raise questions. And he reached out and actually responded to Kotaku saying, I respect and appreciate the concern. This is why we have a FAQ right at the top of the website to make the process clear. It's also why I don't vote on the nominees or winners. In my role as a show producer, I work closely with game publishers and developers on a number of levels, so I leave the judging to the media outlets that provide a wide critical assessment. And apparently there's some kind of actual panel that works with Jeff Keely, that Kojima's part of this panel. I believe even Phil Harrison, Phil Spencer. Yeah. So this panel is actually responsible for helping choose these 80 individuals of the media. So Jeff Keely has tried to maintain this thing of I don't vote. But if we go off of anything we know about award ceremonies, Denzel Washington made a joke about the Academy Awards, or that you can basically buy your way into getting a Best Actor award by knowing who the judges are, sending them a gold Rolex, a nice dinner at a hotel, and a good holiday vacation at a really great resort. So when it comes time to vote, they'll remember you. And that's definitely something that I will stand behind on. Jeff Keely has been trying to say, oh, there's not going to be any corruption or anything like this. Well, it's plain to see, in my opinion, that there is some biasness towards Microsoft. Games are being nominated. I played Control. I enjoyed it. And I have to agree with Tim Dog. If it came down to it, I think Gears 5 belongs there before Control, just because I look at it from the standpoint of the normal individual who plays games. The story is a lot more easier to grasp than Control. And not to mention, I felt more emotion playing Gears 5 over Control, because, there's things about Gears 5 that really strive up some emotion as you get towards the end.
Right.
But definitely with this whole situation, I did put it out there on Saltiest Gaming that if I was in Jeff Keely's place and Kojima walked up to me saying, I want to put you in the game, I would have to respectfully decline, because regardless, I would not want this kind of negativity
Agreed.
or
That's the best point I've heard anybody make. That's been talking about.
What's the word I'm looking for?
You don't want a conflict of interest.
Controversy. I wouldn't want controversy floating around my awards because now everybody thinks the awards is rigged.
Right. You don't want a conflict of interest if you're going to be somebody who's supposed to be, right in the middle. You don't want to be yourself. So I 100%. I think that's a great thing that you just said and pointed out.
Well, if you go on their Twitter, especially Jeff Keely's, I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it like this. It looks like these two are out on a bromance vacation. I mean, like they're taking photos in front of dinosaurs and stuff. I mean, like these look like two guys have grown up together since they were little kids being best buds.
Remember a couple years ago when Konami wouldn't let him come out here for the Game Awards and
show and was like, giving props to Kojima. Like he has the power to do that. Who's to say he's not doing anything else behind the scenes? And they're friends. Like, it seems suspect, man.
I've heard from at least what Enrique from Brap said that when Jeff Keely created the Game Awards, he had help from PlayStation, Xbox, and a number of other investors that wanted to help create this whole ceremony for gaming. At this point, if I was in Phil Spencer's position, I would already be like, dude, okay, this is taking it a little too far. You're kind of undercutting the product we put out. If you want, at this point, if I was Phil Spencer next year, I would pull all funding for the Video Game Awards just to show Jeff Keely how much of a difference
it's been year after year. Rocket League made Best Racer, right? Wasn't that like Best Racer?
Best sports game.
It was best sports game.
Best sports game.
Like,
yeah, that was really dumb. See, listen, the bottom line is that people want to show appreciation. And it does become a pat on the back type thing, and unfortunately, Xbox is really lacking in that department. They've never really gotten that type of respect all gen, and I can understand why some of the people think that they do with this whole thing. I just personally feel like it's not the biggest. It's not the biggest.
No, you know what, Timmy? It's sad. It's sad because on a night when gaming should be on the forefront and celebration, of gaming, it's controversy. Everybody's worrying about, was there some funny business going on? Is there Jeff Keely getting kickbacks or from now on, there's always going to be an asterisk, on these Game Awards, in my opinion. And listen to several podcasts, over the last week or so. A lot of people are questioning it, like, well, what's really going on here? What's the scoop, the inside scoop?
Yeah, their integrity will always be questioned, and it's just that's going to be your stigma. It's going to people from now on to this is done. Like I don't think I can ever take it serious. You just sit back and wait for new announcements. And
when you called me and you were genuinely trying to figure out what was going on, and I understood where you were coming from. You were like, Tim, who the hell does that? Because you wanted to get
facts first.
It's not like you're being you wanted to get the facts, and you're not being a fanboy about it. But I listen. If they've called this the PlayStation Awards. There's been it's been and part of that's because Xbox hasn't had. The great games that Sony has had, but is it a little bit pro Sony, or do you get that feel? I think if you're being honest about it, the answer is yes.
Dude, watch Gamescom, how he treated Rod Ferguson over Kojima. Rod Ferguson, he was kicking him off the stage.
Yeah, he called him. He also did.
He got to his
collection. The collection. He goes, "Welcome to the club." Yeah, listen. Obviously, I honestly, just through this whole thing, I never really thought about it. But you made the best point. If you listen, Keely said 3 years ago that this is his main thing, and he wants to make this the whole thing. So, with that being known, why would you put yourself in somebody else's game, especially if you're going to be a game? Especially if you're going to run the show. It just sets a bad precedent, and it obviously leaves the door open for this.
I don't think.
I'm gonna say something, and it sounds like sour grapes because I'm an Xbox fan or whatever. But I've not quite met him before, Jeff Keely, but I've been around him, and I've kind of overheard some of the conversations he's had. And Tim, I've talked to you about this before.
Yeah.
And he's a pompous prick. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I've heard the way he talks. And when he first put the Game Awards on, he was talking about investors kicking in. And he was like, you know what? I came at them, and I can quote him exactly because I remember him exactly saying this. He goes, I told him straight up, you're gonna have to give me $4 million before we even start talking.
Wow.
Well, I remember
And that was straight from his fucking mouth.
I remember we were at the Microsoft Theater and he was walking around. I don't know. You were there too. Tim Stewart was there. I don't know if you remember that. And you had said something to Greg, and you being cool, and Greg just the way he acted.
Greg or Jeff?
Jeff, the way Jeff acted.
You talking about Greg Miller all of a sudden?
No. The way he acted, he definitely comes off as pompous.
Dude,
watch it. I was just looking at him. I'm like, this is one dude I would never say hello to him or give him the time of day. Just because you could tell he walks.
Well, listen, I'm not a rude person, you know that. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna say hello to or at least try to be nice and sociable. But like I said, I've overheard him speak before, and I just think he's a prick.
You try to be cool to him, and he just had no time for you. He's like, oh, he gave you a head nod or something, and it was just
Speaking of a prick move, Gioscu just reminded me. He stated, "I still remember when he leaked the price of the Xbox One X 1 hour before the E3 show."
Yeah,
that was a dick move.
Yeah. No, it's interesting with all this stuff going on, you got to really, ask yourself about Keely, the Game Awards and all that.
Well, or just don't pay attention to it, because if you're going to do something and you're going to put, you're going to put that in question where, if that type of bullshit's going on, you're only doing yourself a disservice. You'd like to go to a Game Awards and think that there's no type of favoritism or any of that going on. And
come on, we've known their favoritism for a while in the first.
No, we know that,
and that's fine. You know when your bread is buttered. You know who's kicking in the money. We know that. And like I said, I know it sounds like sour grapes and shit. But we know that Sony puts more money into the Game Awards than Microsoft does. And it's just fact, and it shows. But I don't know. For now, until he's done with the Game Awards, it's forever tainted, in my opinion.
No, I have to agree with that. It's definitely got some controversy and taint that are now going to be always associated with Jeff Keely and the Game Awards. And, I've heard someone say, well, he's got a reputation to protect, so he wouldn't do anything like that. And
I've seen about a reputation.
I've seen some pretty shady stuff done in politics without no concern over a reputation, and I'm pretty sure that Jeff Keely is capable of the same tactics.
Mm-hmm. How do you fix something like this, though? Do you tear it down and start all over again? Is it something?
I think the only way that it could potentially be fixed is if Kojima doesn't walk away with one award.
Listen.
If you just focus on this one game, I'm just saying as a whole. This is the only thing we really have.
For you and a lot of
there needs to be more transparency.
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't think that they really give a shit about us because we're in the minority, to be honest.
Well, they said that the public only contributes to 10% of the actual vote. When you really think about that, you're just voting to have that idea of voting. It actually does nothing for the actual process, in my opinion. 10% ain't crap.
But listen, if it wins, I think that then you're gonna have this whole debate really fire up. In the end, I think everyone has their opinions, and it is what it is. But if he doesn't win, listen, I stayed out of it because I don't feel that strongly a part of it. But I watched Twitter that day, And man, there was a lot of pissed off people. A lot of
108 Dragons was lit. Like he was upset
Like,
about
a
it.
Yeah, he
lot of
was. He
people
was on
like,
fire.
I was on the phone with him
everyone-
too at the same time with Tim. So
you know, you have
Yeah.
Sony fanboys, and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, look at the Xbox," and it becomes that. But I do think that there is some people that genuinely care about, like, calling it the way it should be called, and you don't want to have that cloud of doubt behind you if you're a Game Awards show that
Mhm.
that you're doing this behind the thing, that type of stuff.
So what do you guys think then? If Death Stranding wins all, was it 9 nominations it got? Was it going to be like riots in the GameStops and the Walmart gaming aisles and Best Buy?
No,
Like,
it's just gonna be Twitter. It's just gonna be loud Twitter. That's all.
If I'm gonna just if I was Kojima, I wouldn't want a single one of those awards, because the thing is, now every single award you get is gonna be nothing but a hand me out.
Yeah.
Now, not a lot of Xbox games nominations here. Gears 5 has 3 nominations. One's for audio design, I believe another's for action game. The Outer Worlds is actually doing pretty impressive here. It's up for Game of the Year along with Death Stranding and Control. I think it's in the best RPG and another category. It would be nice to see more Xbox games in here. But
if you hear anybody talk about it, they're saying, well, Obsidian, it was working on that game before Xbox acquired them, so that's not really an Xbox game.
Yeah. Well, guess what? Obsidian Outer Worlds 2 is definitely exclusive, so you can go with that so far. They basically, people say, well, we need Xbox new IPs. There's an Xbox new IP. The next one, and it's going to be huge, will be on Xbox, and it's not going to be on PlayStation.
They also said Outer Worlds was the biggest game on PlayStation in October.
Yeah, it was huge.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, the game was great. I'm still playing it.
How many hours are you into it, Timmy?
I'm like 22 hours. What happened was I got into xCloud. I've been playing Madden like a madman. So I hate to say it, I've been just on xCloud lately.
I took a break to play Jedi Fallen Order. I'm almost done with that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get back onto.
But that's a game you could just keep playing and building up your character. I mean, I remember when I played what was it, Skyrim on PC. I played that game like 70 hours, and I was still doing side quests and stuff like that. To me, those type of games, it's more about building up your prestige in the game and your character than anything else. Like the end of the game in me is like I kind of avoid that until the very end, because I just love the idea of being a high rank or high level and doing everything that the game offers. For certain games like Skyrim and Outer Worlds is one of those games. I love everything about it. I think I'm a level 17, and I'm enjoying it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's a great game. It's definitely a great game.
Yeah.
Now,
It's got my vote.
They have a category here called ongoing game, like best ongoing game. And I made an argument on Twitter that Sea of Thieves should have been nominated because they've had all kinds of content popping in. Obviously, recently, they still got more coming. And there's games like Apex Legends, Destiny, Final Fantasy, Fortnite, and Rainbow Six Siege on here. Some of these games have been out for a couple of years now, and I don't see why Sea of Thieves just shouldn't be nominated. It's made leaps
because
and
it's an
bounds.
Xbox Studio game. That's why.
Dude, Sea of Thieves over. I have played Rainbow Six Siege. I loved Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah, I never liked it. I never liked Siege.
But here's the thing: Sea of Thieves didn't have to have an Operation Health. Sorry, our game is so broken that we're actually going to have a season called Operation Health to let people know that we're fixing the game. Sea of Thieves lacked content. They didn't have game-breaking stuff happening in the game. Operation Health was there to let people know that Ubisoft knew there was a problem and that they were trying to fix it. And not even all the problems have been fixed fully. Like the one character, Ash, is still called Broken Hitbox because there's issues with the hitbox markers on her character, making it to where sometimes like the shots don't register on her.
Mhm. Yeah, listen, I think when you look at Sea of Thieves, their anniversary update was almost a whole new game, and they're going to have another anniversary update next year. It's ongoing. It's huge. The game, it is what it is. It's. I just think that Xbox is unfortunately at the point where it's not popular. It's very popular, or it's very beloved by the hardcore, but it's come to a point where the casuals just they kind of disregard Xbox, and I think that permeates and goes all around, even with these people that are on these boards that play these games. They just it's Xbox is kind of it's not in a great place, or it's building itself up, but it had a couple of taken a lot of shots over the years, and it's not as relevant as it once was. I hate to say it.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, that's quite correct. Let's have a little bit of fun here, guys. So for the game of the year, they have Control, Death Stranding, Resident Evil 2, Sekiro, Smash Bros. Ultimate, and The Outer Worlds. Which one do you think will win the game of the year?
Well, I'm gonna say my thing is I want Outer Worlds to win, but I believe Sekiro, as I said before. Sekiro.
You think Shakira is gonna win? You're gonna shake her ass all over the W, huh?
Sekiro.
I think Sekiro deserves it. First of all, it's out of all the games, it's the highest Metacritic. It's been the highest critical liking, and just it might not be a game for me because it's very hard, and I get frustrated with those type of games. But I love the fact that they make the game that hard, and they go for the hardcore gamer. There was a big thing that they should make the game easier. Bullshit. The developer can do what they want. But yeah, I think that game's going to win it, and it deserves it. But for me, I'm pulling for Outer Worlds.
It was on sale too, by the way. It's a lot of sales going on too.
How much is it?
I think it was down to 40.
Wow.
It wasn't too bad. I mean, you wait a little longer, you can get it for cheaper than that, I'm pretty sure, or even maybe later on during the.
I've seen some Black Friday flyers for around 25.
Nice. Well, I may have to pick that up. For me, I think I would pick. I only played out of all those games that are nominated. I've only played The Outer Worlds. So for me, that would be my pick. But I honestly think that Death Stranding is going to win, just because with everything that's been going on, and it's just stuff that just hasn't been making sense. It's a lot of stuff just seems suspect to me. So it's just, I don't know. Wouldn't be a surprise if Death Stranding wins. Several.
I agree with you, bro. I think Death Stranding is definitely going to win, but it would be nice to see Outer Worlds. Even like what Timmy said, Sekiro wins. That'd be cool too, because that was highly rated, this year. But like you guys, not all you guys, but I've only played Outer Worlds, so I can't comment on the other games. I just I hope anything else but Death Stranding, but in my heart I know that Death Stranding is going to win.
Well, I played Smash Bros. Ultimate and The Outer Worlds. I'm not finished The Outer Worlds yet, but both are phenomenal games. I would have to personally give the edge to The Outer Worlds, even though I'm not done it. It's familiar but refreshing at the same time, and I just think it's a wonderful new IP, and I'm just excited to get back into it. Definitely a lot of good games here. I'm planning on getting Control sometime soon. I don't know. My vote would have to be for The Outer Worlds, though.
The Luigi's Mansion 3. I'm sorry. Did that make it in? Or was that enough time?
You know what? It is in here. It is. Let me just go to her. It's funny, guys. I was gonna mention this earlier. So in the best family game section, it's all Nintendo games. You have Yoshi's Crafted World, Smash Bros. Ultimate, Super Mario Maker 2, Ring Fit Adventure, and Luigi's Mansion 3. And yeah, Luigi's Mansion 3 did make the cut. It was a Halloween release, and just barely made it in there. By the way, I just beat that game. It is fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah, no,
But
it's a fantastic game, yeah.
but it can't be considered a game of the year like mainstream. It's just a best family game. That's it. It's competing against itself. I don't have the list here in front of me, so
The best family game category is like a win-win for Nintendo.
Yeah.
yeah, that's what it
Pretty
sounds
much.
like. They're all going against each other. So
Yeah, it's
But-
weird not seeing like a Lego game in there or something. It's all Nintendo games,
mm,
which is kind of funny, but that's Nintendo for you. But if we've all commented on that topic, I will move on to the next one. And hey, fellas, there was a story getting passed along about Xbox being in early talks to make exclusive games for xCloud streaming. So, in an interview, VP of Cloud Gaming Kareem Chowdhury stated, in terms of Xbox exclusives, we're in early talks with first and third parties, but we don't have any announcements to share. Now, a lot of people were kind of wondering about this, and Microsoft later had to chime in and had to clarify on that comment, stating that we're very early in the multi-year journey for Project xCloud. We are investigating a variety of new capabilities made possible by the cloud. However, we remain committed to an approach with game streaming that is complementary to console and have no plans for cloud exclusive content at this time. So, some very interesting comments here. Obviously, I don't think Xbox would want to push this anytime soon, obviously with Project xCloud coming in the next year. But what do you guys make of these comments? Do you think something's in the works for some kind of first or third party stuff?
I think they came out right away and squashed that rumor, because people wanted to run with it right off the bat, and they answered it right away. I don't see any truth to it. I mean, maybe in the future, but right now, like they said, it's too early in the program to even start thinking about that.
So basically, what they're saying is, hey, we have some amazing technology, and I think Google has also stated the same thing, that we could have, massively online played games through the cloud on their own servers. Google has talked about this as well. You're talking about 1,000 player games through the cloud, only possible through the cloud. To have things like that. And they're just saying that, hey, we have this technology, it's there. Certain things are going to be available to us. Right now, it's a complimentary way to play the game. We're just doing it on that. But in the future, when these things come about, they're not going to I don't think they're going to turn their back on it. I think they're going to say, hey, if we could do it, why don't we do it? And I'm talking not in the near future. I'm talking about like 10 years.
They're not stupid. They're not going to turn down some money.
They're not going to inhibit themselves to say we're not.
If there's a market for it,
right? If you could play a game that's with 1,000 people, that's only possible through the cloud. Would you want that? And how it would be, pushed out to the consumer or guys like me, you would probably still play it on our Xbox. It's just we would play it remotely.
Yeah. It doesn't fall in line with what they've been saying. Is play where you want, on any device you want, how you want it, and just it's supposed to be seamless. If you're on your phone, I'm on my console. We're all supposed to just kind of work together, or your PC. Just doesn't kind of make any sense. So, but. I just think it's something from down the line when things like if you're talking 10 years, 5 to 10 years down the line. Let's say Stadia came out and they said that themselves. There's things that are possible that we could do with our infrastructure that you cannot do on a box. You cannot do it on a console. It's just you can only do it via the servers and the whatever. They've made those claims. Now, if they're making those claims, you got to believe Microsoft still has the same technology. It's like when they talked about the negative latency. I don't know if you guys remember that. Google Stadia talked about the negative latency.
I had talked to some people, and Microsoft has the same technology. It's basically a technology that it takes over for when it knows there's intelligence built into xCloud. Basically, it knows when you're playing. It knows when you stop playing. There's ability if you stop playing and you lost your, let's say the power went out and you lost the connection, it could actually take over, play your game, multiplayer game and all, and play for you as the time until you reconnect and reestablish a connection, and then
It's like
put you
that Drivatar tech almost with how they do Forza, kind of like.
Exactly, but they have a lot of intelligence built into the cloud,
Sounds awesome.
as does Google, and some of these things can be leveraged, but obviously right now is not the time to talk about it because why? It makes everything confusing. I just think that down the line, if there's technology that they have that they can use, I don't think that they're going to turn themselves away. Instead, they'll somehow convey it to us what they're doing, and then obviously if we could play in a game with 1,000 freaking people, 1,024 multiplayer, what you would call it, battle royale, that they might do that type of stuff, but it's this is just the future.
Absolutely.
Nothing to worry about or to put any kind of claims up now that it means anything, because it doesn't.
Yeah, the reason why I bring it up too is a lot of people were like running with, oh, what's the point of getting a Scarlet or whatever? They're just gonna put all their stuff out there, and thankfully Microsoft responded pretty quickly to that. It's just people were running with different stories, and it's easy to get mixed messaging, right? So just interesting there. But we'll move on to some other news. And very recently, Xbox head Phil Spencer, he's been doing a few interviews. And during an interview with outlet Jeux Video, he revealed that the goal for Xbox Game Studios is to release about 4 to 5 AAA games on Xbox and Game Pass every year, stating that having a steady stream of games going with our Xbox platforms as well as Game Pass, it's very essential to us. So, it's a pretty big deal, definitely a nice one. And now with 15 internal studios, do you guys think that having 4 to 5 AAA games a year is pretty reasonable or feasible?
Well, I'll take it since nobody's talking. I don't think it's 4 to 5 AAAs, even though that's the way the article came out. I do think that it's 5 games that'll come out, possibly 2 of them being AAA, and then 3 or 2 or 3 being AAA, depending on the year. Listen, they have 15 studios. We've talked about this to ad nauseum. We went over and over and over. They keep hiring. Within those studios, Rare is making, I believe, 3 games, which is Sea of Thieves, the newest game, and they have another game. Obsidian, 3 games. Ninja Theory, 2 games. So these studios are growing. They're doing multiple projects. And what does that mean? That means a shitload of games coming. So Microsoft and Phil have talked about this. They want to be able to give you a new game release at every game show, whether that's the TGAs or XO, E3. They want to fill up each quarter with a game. Some bigger than others, smaller like Ori. But the game factory as we know it is about to really start to roll out. 2020 is a nice example. You're going to get a ton of content, pretty much a game a month. You're going to get Bleeding Edge. You're going to get Minecraft Dungeons. Some of these are not all exclusives.
Well, no, it's funny because AAA is such a relative word. You know what I mean? Like it varies depending on who you're talking to. So it could mean like what we want, the AAA mature games, or it could be what Obsidian's working on, or what Rare's working on. So I mean, it all depends on who you talk to when they consider a AAA title.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got In Exile. They have, a lot of these studios, they have when Microsoft bought these studios, it wasn't just a single one. There was like a couple of different ones spread out, right? Like In Exile has 2 studios, and all these internal studios, they're expanding. So they'll be able to put out, they have different teams, and they'll definitely be able to put out all kinds of content, just a matter of how big and the scale of what these games are going to be. You look at what Playground is doing, they're working on a secret RPG, Fable. And, you know, they got obviously Forza Horizon. They're building up to, as Tim was saying, to in 2020 to put out some excellent content constantly, and they got Bleeding Edge,
Wasteland 3 looks
I think
good.
you know what.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the craziest thing is a lot of people fail to mention is the smaller teams are making some big games lately. You notice that? Like size of 15, 20 people team is making like a really, really impressive game.
Yeah. You got just look at the games in next year's. I think a nice like a peek into the future. You're gonna have Grounded, which is like you said, 13 to 15 people, smaller game, but it looks pretty cool. It's not like a AAA or anything, but you're gonna have Grounded, you're gonna have Ori, you're gonna have Minecraft Dungeons, you're gonna have Wasteland 3, you're gonna have Halo Infinite, you're possibly gonna have Forza. Bleeding Edge. Now, like we're rolling down the game right now. We're talking about games. You're gonna have
that's before E3. These games that you just mentioned are all coming out of, if I'm not mistaken.
No, not Halo. Not Halo.
Other than Halo and Forza, which are the heavy hitters. But what about the game? The game that they just announced with Dunod. Flight Simulator.
Tell me why.
Gears Tactics.
Double Fine's game Psychonauts 2, I think it's 2020.
Yeah, exactly. So how many games have we just listed? Double Fine's game,
Crossfire,
Gears Tactic, Crossfire. I mean,
Fantasy Star.
I'm like, holy shit!
Hey,
I'm gonna make a tweet on that. Jesus Christ!
Plenty am I going to say?
I mean, but you're getting the thing.
Yeah.
Microsoft ain't messing around, and people who said Xbox has no games, now is saying Xbox only has cartoony games because that's basically where the narrative switched.
The narrative, man, the narrative changes every 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have.
No, you can go ahead first, Shockley.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say soon. If you look at their studios, they're gonna have a more like AAA studios. I feel than Sony's gonna be delivering, because if you count up like Sony's like big heavy hitters, like Sucker Punch, things like that, and then compared to what Microsoft has, because you have Obsidian, Ninja Theory, Initiative, Coalition, Playground, they're all beefing up pretty big now. And I think they're going to have, when I would count them, leaving out Rare, not even counting Rare and other smaller studios like that. Well, not smaller, but ones that you don't think of AAA. They have.
I can't wait to see what the Initiative cooking up.
So I think next gen they're going to be, going to be able to bring up, like you said, like 4 to 5 like big games a year. So I think they're going to be able to be well armed next time. So
definitely next gen they're going to be a powerhouse.
They all have, they help, you have these, these studios with, 3 different, they're working on different projects. They're working on different games, so, it's going to be big, man. It's a lot to look forward to.
That's funny you mentioned that, because it seems that's kind of like the trend. Like a lot of these studios are working on 2 or 3 projects all at once.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really curious to see what Compulsion's working on. They just got finished with we have a few DLC, and they've been very quiet.
I like how everybody states that Xbox makes cartoony games when one of the most successful games that has made a lot of money outside of Grand Theft Auto is Minecraft. And games like that's definitely one thing that we all saw how quickly Nintendo Switch grew. I mean, they are selling gangbusters even to this day. They're a very family-oriented console. So Xbox not only wants to be the home for the hardcore AAA gamer with mature rated content, but they also want to be the home where somebody can go to the store and buy their kid an Xbox and know that there's going to be content for their kid just as well. Because right now, you can buy a Nintendo guilt-free knowing that there's going to be games and content for a kid. When you look at the other consoles, it's just both Xbox and PlayStation are more associated with the adult oriented side of gaming, and Xbox wants everybody to be involved in gaming. And not only that, but Xbox wants somebody to be in the Xbox ecosystem from day one when they're a kid to when they're an adult, if that
They're
makes
definitely
sense to
pushing
you.
the mass appeal, and they're pushing diversity too. Like things that are coming out now, these include Final Fantasies. Plus, like you said, the cartoony games. They want to, they want you to, everything that you want to play, whether if you're 5 years old or 45. There's a game for you. So,
Oh yeah, and like look, I always tell this to everybody. I'm pretty sure I've said it before, but my wife does not game like I do, and
Mhm.
so when Sea of Thieves is one of those games that she can actually play with me, and I enjoy Sea of Thieves 10 times more because my wife is able to play with me. And Grounded looks like it's going to be another one of those games that my wife is going to be able to play with me.
That's awesome.
You see, they're doing the upgrade phone plan, like $20 a month gets you an Xbox day one and Game Pass.
You mean like for phones, or you mean for them basically
Yeah,
to?
they're. Phil Spencer tweeted out with Amazon, said thanks for our partners at Amazon. They're going to help ship out these Xboxes for anyone that wants to basically just pay $20 a month, and they send you an Xbox One S, and that includes Game Pass like Ultimate. So you just keep paying $20 a month, and they have an upgrade feature. So when Scarlet hits, you can just pay a little bit more.
Yeah.
Nice.
Directly
It's like a cell phone model, the old cell phone model, or
But I wonder if that's going to help with
It's
Scarlet's,
just
because it's the rumored to be $500 for probably both of them. But then if you can grab a Scarlet for like, hey, I just put down $20 or $30 and I got it because that's all I had in my pocket, then that's I might get some sales there. So
I've been beating this drum for a long time when it comes to Microsoft. They are breaking down the barrier of gaming being an expensive hobby and only for those that have disposable income. They are now creating products and services to open the doors for people to get into gaming that they never thought possible. The idea of being able to pay near to next to nothing to own a game console, and then also to have a service that gives you access to hundreds of games, even first party titles day and date. They're definitely breaking down a lot of barriers.
Oh, definitely.
well, they're just trying to get in the most hands as possible and different avenues, however many ways they can. They're trend setting.
Listen to this list that we were just talking about. And this is to the people that said Xbox has no games. Psychonauts 2, Battletoads, Minecraft Dungeons, Wastelands 3, Sea of Thieves Anniversary 2020 Update, Flight Simulator, Grounded, Gears Tactic, Bleeding Edge, Tell Me Why, Phantasy Star Online, Crossfire Remedy Exclusive Mission, Ori Will of the Wisp, Halo Infinite, Forza Turn 10 game, 2020. Shut your faces.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's pretty, and that's what we know about. Right? So
I think they're going to drop some major bombs at E3.
Well, they have
the Video Game Awards too, because he did say there's a few more announcements that we have before the end of this year. So
we'll see.
That's exciting.
Scarlet eye candy.
Well, they're definitely going to have new announcements with the new console launch next year. So it's very exciting, guys, going into next year. All right, so what have we been playing for the past week, fellas? What's everyone been grinding through or beating? What games have you guys been just going through?
I've still been playing the Outer Worlds when I have the time. I've been busy this week prepping for the holidays, and my Gears of War pop as usual. So, but good times. A lot of money invested in that pop.
You a shareholder
world.
in the coalition yet with Gears Pop?
I'm working on it, man. I'm working on. I'm trying to. I almost have all the achievements. Believe it or not, more than Gears 5. But that's accessibility. It's right
Founders
there.
Club.
Yeah.
I've been playing Jedi Fallen Order. I'm like stuck on that. You know, what's funny? It's kind of reignited my love for Star Wars. And you know, growing up, I kind of like Star Wars, but like as I got older, I'm more into it than I used to be. And now it makes me want to go back and rewatch the trilogy, the original trilogy, and the prequels. You know what I mean? So I'm like, wow, this game is really doing like wonders because anything that makes me want to go back and sit through like 10 hours of movies, that's pretty impressive.
Are you playing that game on story mode by chance?
Yes.
Man, never mind. I guess I'm on this lonely island.
What are you playing it on?
Why?
I'm playing it on Jedi Knight, and I mean, dude, I've gotten my ass handed to me so much. That game is taking longer than
No,
it should.
I'm getting whooped though. I'm getting my ass whooped.
Even though story mode. I mean,
what's different? What's the difference? Because honestly, I didn't even pick. I just picked like the hardest difficulty.
That is in story mode.
That story mode is just basically kind of an easy way to go through.
Yeah, you get like.
Oh no, definitely. No. I'm definitely not going through it. No. It's not.
So maybe
no.
Maybe you're wrong. Maybe it's not story mode. You're playing.
Maybe I wasn't paying attention when I loaded it up because I kind of remember that, but I was like, I didn't know the difference. So
there's story mode, and then there's like Jedi Knight, Jedi Master.
The end. So.
Oh no! I definitely didn't go easy. No, I'm getting my ass handed to me.
Oh yeah, I fought one boss character for over an hour. Kept getting my ass handed to me.
Well,
so I ended up
do you remember in our chat I said that damn Bogdo, whatever the hell that fucking toad's name is, it was like that son of a bitch was teabagging me and chewing me up, man.
I know exactly.
I literally died like,
dude,
it's the first world.
Dude. I've been seeing some sick like finishing moves, like I don't know, they're just like are they like just like cinematic like finishing to like these bosses, man?
Yeah, they're cinematic. Almost. Yeah,
it looks good, man. I seen K Mega. He posted some videos earlier, and I'm like, man, I want to finish a damn game, So I want to finish the Outer Worlds, and then I'm going to go right into Star Wars, definitely.
With Jedi Fallen Order, I mean, like I was there with Southie. I'm ready to watch a lot of the Star Wars again. I mean, it is so much fun when you have the single-bladed lightsaber and then you click the button and it breaks into dual wield, and then the double-ended lightsaber, and then you have another combo that you can do where you actually break the lightsaber in half, and now you have two lightsabers, one in each hand, and at that point you're just like mowing down enemies like the Force Unleashed.
That sounds sick.
Well, I didn't go to Dathomir yet. I'm still on what's it called? I went to Kashyyyk. Now I'm back to.
I won't say who on Dathomir, but that was where the boss was. I fought that dude for an hour, and I had to leave.
Yeah,
and I went around
you're
to
way
other
ahead of me.
I went around to other planets.
You know what? You know where I'm at? I'm
back.
at the I'm at the prison.
Okay, yeah, you're on Kashyyyk. Kashyyyk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're dealing with what Forrest Whitaker's character.
I've been seeing some cheap videos building lightsaber. I think I'm gonna go that route first, really early. I saw some.
Yeah. There's a way you can go to Dathomir and grab the double.
Yeah, you can get the double. But you have to do something. I forget exactly what now that I'm thinking about it, but to be able to break it apart. And I mean, the minute you're able to break the lightsaber apart into two pieces is when, at that point, like the minute you're able to break that thing in a half, the game makes you go through a fight scene where you're fighting like 20 dudes, 5-6 of them at a time.
Wow.
That's crazy.
You got to be good to. You got to know when to dodge. You got to know when to parry. You got to know when to roll out of the way, when to attack, and you got to get really good at knowing where everybody is at. Because if anybody is near a cliff, that's where it gets funny because you'll have like these dudes that are like,
The
"Oh,
force push, baby.
I know they're
love
like, I'm
force
gonna
push
kick
off the
your
cliff.
ass, Jedi," and you just put your hand up and you watch that dude fly off the cliff, and it's like, I'm waiting for you to come over here and kick my ass, bro.
Would this have been your game of the year, Centurion? I mean,
Oh yeah, definitely.
I see you playing everything, bro. So like,
No, definitely. I would definitely say this would be this year's game of the year, which is probably why they left it out because nobody would want to go up against that. Because I mean, dude, I love like at the beginning of the game, you're constantly just like, I want to be like the Force Unleashed. I just want to totally whoop everybody's ass and have all these ultimate force powers. But as you get towards the game and play it more and more, and you unlock stuff and you get better at fighting, it feels more rewarding.
so it just brings the subject back up again. So then, where does this fall at? Is it the first game in line for next year's game of the war a nomination? Or because then you have all these other games you have to compete against, like Halo.
It kind of gets fallen by the wayside is what happens.
It might. I mean, if it's not
Halo will probably
nominated
miss
this
the
year,
cutoff too.
yeah.
It
I
came
mean,
out on the
for the
last
next
day
one.
on the cutoff, so I could see next year when they would be like, "Oh, well, it doesn't qualify because it actually came out during. It was just we decided not to include it." And that's one thing that I really have a big problem with is rules are rules. It may have came out the last day, but it still came out within the prospective time frame. And no offense, but gaming journalists get these games sometimes a week in advance. So to say that you know nothing, don't know enough about the game to vote for it is just
So
beyond me.
your lazy arse is up, and do what you got, your due diligence, and review the game because these guys put a lot of work into this game and developing it, and I think if it deserves to have a spot, then it should be fair.
Dude, this would have made EA look good if the game was at least nominated. Let's not even talk about it winning, but if EA, with all the problems they've had with Star Wars this generation, was able to show, hey, we were able to right the ship. The guy over at Respawn, I always forget his name, was able to crank Vincent Palo was able to make a great Star Wars game because we got on our knees and begged him to please save our asses. But I mean, like straight up, that would have been
just
a home
remember,
run for EA just for getting
a
nominated.
few years ago, they lost faith in him. That was the Call of Duty guy. And then, when Titanfall came out and they dogged him, and then, now all of a sudden Apex came out, and now the Star Wars Jedi Fallen.
They're back
Now he's
at it,
yeah. It's funny how far you can fall from grace and how quickly you can be resurrected.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Greeky nerd said The Last of Us 2 and Cyberpunk. I guess it would be competing with that. I forgot about Cyberpunk. So many games, man, bro. Cyberpunk. Ugh.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that right there is going.
That's gonna win everything.
Now,
I've been dipping back into what was it, Deus Ex Human Revolution. I never got the chance to play it last gen. So, but it's getting weird to go back to some of the weird control schemes, and they don't give you a chance to change the controls. So to like cover is left trigger to go into cover. So it's just.
Oh, right.
I know we strayed all over the place with this topic, didn't we?
Oh yeah.
Oh no, yeah. I've been meaning to get into that too. I've I had multiple friends tell me about that game, and need to get into it at some point. Actually, did anybody see the EA Access promo on the Xbox dashboard? It had like 1 month free trial. Like that's pretty cool.
They announced it at the EXO.
Well, yeah, that's part of the Game Pass now. You got a free month, and then what else you get in Spotify? Three months Spotify?
Discord
Yeah,
Turbo.
Spotify 6 months. So I got it. Just so you know, it works.
Yeah,
I got it. I love it. It's really good. The Spotify is really good. So if you haven't gotten it, you can get it.
I'm gonna get that. I didn't.
Yeah, it's right on your console. It's right on the on the page. Just explore more awards or something, or get your awards.
Yeah, I took up the offer. I'm like, yeah, why not? There's a few games there I wouldn't mind trying for free, for a month. Why not? So That's pretty cool that, more value in these subscription services. And, it's just, kind of cool. All right, everyone. I guess on that note, we're going to end off the show now. And we had a wonderful chat tonight. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. We had Geeky Nerd, Hebot, Sam Walton, Matt Jones. Hope you're feeling better, Matt. Matt had some surgery on his wisdom teeth taken out. Hope you're feeling better there, bud.
You'll feel better, Matt.
Check your work. You might get some FMLA. Get off work for free.
Yeah,
Definitely.
He's correct.
What else? Born Distracted. We had Jago in here, Dreadpool, NLG Gaming, Michael Monkey Punch, Peter Sark. Lots of good people in here. Thanks for checking out the show.
Here, I hung out with him at last night at Dave and Buster's. We were hanging out and watching the fight last night. So that was a nice surprise. So good times.
Yeah, I saw that you got some pretty good. Oh wait, no, did you give him a couple of gifts?
Yeah, some couple. This was supposed to have been given to Hebot 2 years ago. And I've been so busy with work. We finally got caught up. We caught up with one another, and our schedules kind of aligned.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, and he gave me this awesome, like, super rare Megatron Transformer thing. I'm gonna post video, I guess, a picture of it on Twitter later, and it's just like expensive as hell. I know it is, and it's just like it was just thank you for that, Hebot. Like whatever I gave him, like just it's nothing compared to the gift he gave me. He knows I love my Transformers, and yeah, it's still in my car. I haven't taken it out yet, but I much appreciate it, man. Thank you, bro, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I saw the cups. That was pretty cool. But yeah, big shout out to everyone that joined us. And hey, if you enjoyed the show, then definitely consider dropping a like, leave a comment, and share this out to the world. And also, don't forget, we're on various podcasting services. Definitely check them out in the links below for more ways to follow us. All right, fellas, let's say goodbye for this show. Centurion, where can our awesome fans find you at?
Well, they can always find me here kicking it with you great individuals on TXR. I'm also on Saltiest Gaming Podcast on Thursdays. I'm on the Shop Podcast on Saturdays. And I can always be found 24/7 on Xbox Live, YouTube, and Twitter at Centurion1307.
All right, good stuff. Shock Buddy, where can everyone follow you, my static friend?
Yeah, thanks for joining us tonight. But yeah, you can find me at Shock Nero on Twitter, Easy Shock on PSN Xbox Live. But yeah, thanks for joining.
That's right. Southbound, where can everyone find the man on the west side?
The west side is the best side. You can follow at your boy at Southbound 110. We had a good conversation tonight, and I hope everybody has a good weekend. Happy Thanksgiving if you're in the States, and much love.
For sure. Megatron, and where can everyone follow you at, my metallic friend?
As always, on Xbox Live, Megatron 1. Hit me up. I'm still looking for those shipmates for Sea of Thieves. Best damn IP. And on Twitter, Megatron_1975. And yeah, everybody have a wonderful holiday. Thanksgiving is coming up. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot of gaming and eating and gaming and sleeping and gaming and
shitting.
Jeremy.
Jeremy shit his jaws.
Yeah, it's a lot, 4-day weekend coming up. So yeah, just kind of chill, hang out with the family. I want everybody to have a safe, wonderful holiday, and just chillax and play some games, man. That's it.
Sounds good. Tim Dog, great show tonight. Where can the Xbox fans follow your antics?
You can find me on Twitter. xCloud Tim Dog. Usually I'm there. I'm here every Sunday, cracking a beer and some friendly candies and friends on TXR Sunday nights, RDX Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. And good show tonight. I'm gonna get to my xCloud. I have one thing to say. I've been testing xCloud, and it's the real deal. If you want to take your game and go, it really works well. Megatron, my friend, did you get it yet? Before we leave,
No. I'm
Steve,
like Democrats.
why
Yo,
don't you send the DM? For Christ's
I'm
sake?
doing it right now. As soon as we get all, while we even
Crap Gamer says he has it. You fucking shit.
I gotta get it, man. I'm gonna stop procrastinating.
Dude, you gotta just send it.
Keep phone, I'm gonna do it. I'm
It's
gonna
not
do
like you asking for
Tim has an iPhone, for Christ's sake, and he has it.
Well, I
Yeah.
use
No.
I got a
Don't you use your work phone?
No,
Tim's in
no,
Tim's
no.
in-
You could actually use. I use I bought a Samsung a tablet that I play on, but the thing is it's coming to iPhone, so the people who have iPhone, it's coming there too, so you don't have to lose your phone. And they had confirmed that at XO at one of the things. But yeah, to get on there, have you tried? What have you been playing on? You've been playing on the best thing, the S10, right?
I got the S. I got a Note 8, man.
So you're perfect. Yeah, you're perfect with it.
Yeah, so I need to upgrade though, definitely.
All right, fellas. Well, again, I'm Invader. You can follow me at Invader Gaming on YouTube and obviously on Twitter at Invader_1986. Guys, it's been a blast. Thank you all for showing up. Happy Thanksgiving to all my American friends. I hope you guys have a good time with family, friends, get fat over awesome meals, all kinds of turkey and so on, and stay safe. Until next weekend, guys, take it easy.
Yep, happy holidays.
Yeah, we love you.